Let's go. Another episode, man. Slow feet don't eat. Listen, I'm super excited about this one. And y'all are probably thinking, right? Like, Chris, you say that every time. All right. I'm really that excited every time I do one of these, but I'm especially excited tonight about this one because we're putting an emphasis on women. And, I say all the time that there needs to be more women in this business. This business is like a business that's set up perfectly for females. I mean, let's face it, you guys sound better than us on the phone. You're more articulate, definitely more intelligent. And as a result, you can speak to sellers in a way that ultimately us as males, we just don't have the ability to do that. And so I have one of my students with me tonight who's going to be joining here in a minute in the conversation. Uh, Look, her story is going to be amazing. It's going to be phenomenally great. I wanted to have a conversation and share a story around, being a mom and balancing that, doing her first deal. And, she's been a student. If you're in the U, we've got weekly coaching calls. And, we come on the weekly coaching calls and, I unmute Alexis. She has a question. And what I love about her as well is she always asks questions, always. Since her first day in the group, I've seen her do nothing but ask questions to get the help and the information that she needs. I'll hear, and you might hear it tonight, right? Kid in the background, dog barking. And I love it because that tells me that there's nothing that she's allowing to stop her from what she wants to do. And there's nothing more important than that. The fact that she's taken action, gotten her first deal done, despite balancing motherhood, all these different things, is a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. And I want to give her a platform to be able to share that story, share that experience, because ultimately I know there's other women out there that need to hear that and maybe dealing with the feeling of how do I balance being a mom, taking care of my spouse or significant other, taking care of my children with or without help. I mean, guys, look, at the end of the day, it's a lot to balance. And so I definitely want to extend that platform so that Alexis can join me and have this conversation tonight. So I'm going to get Alexis in here. What up? How are
Hi,
you?
I'm great. How are
Hey,
you?
I'm doing well. Listen, I am excited to have you with me tonight. Thank you for taking the time out to join. I know you're super busy. You're doing deals. You're being a mom. So I appreciate you taking the time to join tonight. Shout out to all the you family that's in the building as well. Shout out to all the you moms, all right, that are in the building as well. So who are you, right? Like, tell me who you are. Where are you from? And I think you've been on a little bit of a real estate journey. I've done a little research. All right. I think you've been on a little bit of a, I got to research my guess, right? So
Yeah.
you've been on a bit of a real estate journey that I want to talk about as well. But who are you? Where are you from?
I'm originally from. I grew up in Southwest Detroit, and I didn't want to like raise my kids there, and I had my oldest when I was 15.
Oh,
So
wow.
I told myself that I was gonna move out of the hood before he started kindergarten, and I did that. So
Respect.
and I never wanted to go back there, like unless it was to visit.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I know like moms always wanna like we kind of say we're just moms, but we're women too and we wanna be ourselves. But like I've been a mom since I was so young, so it's kinda hard to like separate myself from being a mom.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of your identity, right?
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of what I do is to make my kids proud of me. And
I love it.
yeah. So I decided in 2007, I watched some infomercial with Dean Grazioli. Is that his name?
I
And
like this. All right. Now you're taking it back now. All right. You
yeah,
are taking it all the way back. All right. Now this
yeah,
is the only time that I got into this. You're talking about the Dean Grahosi, however you say the guy's name,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Like before
Late
there
night.
was any type of like internet, anything. I ordered the book and the CD, and
Yep.
I said, I work too much. I can't do this. It was like it was talking about all this stuff right now. Like
Yeah.
I want to say it was probably wholesaling back then, but it just seemed unattainable to me. My mindset was totally different then. And I was like, I got two kids and I work every day and I don't think I can, I don't think I could do it. But it was like in the back of my head. And then fast forward to like 2015, I disconnected my Facebook because I do that at times because I need a break, but I ended up
Sure.
finding Periscope. And then the clever investor was talking about all like wholesaling and stuff. So I was like, oh, like I feel like I could do this. This is so cool.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to do it on and off since 2015, August of 2015.
Now let's define this. All right.
Okay.
First of all, respect. I mean, listen, I can't imagine having a child at 15 cannot be easy, right? Even if you come from the best of circumstances, it can't be easy. You're coming from a rough situation, Detroit. All right. I should if I would have known, I would have put my buffs on. All right. I would have put some buffs on. Coming from Detroit, all right. And this is what I heard you say.
Uh-oh. Where'd you go?
Yo, Alexis, check this out. Check this out. Check this out. I'm gonna tell you how excited I just got about this conversation. I want to tell you how excited I just got. All right. I got so hyped for this combo that I leaned in and swiped my hand and it went back. It went back to my email. All right. So my bad, guys.
It's
But
all good.
this is what I heard you say though. All right. What I heard you say is that you always wanted something more. And although you were in bad circumstances, dealing with different things, you were constantly looking for something to guide you or lead you to that next level that you wanted to get to.
Hmm.
What did that come from though? Like, did that just come from your circumstance and situation? Like
Uh,
what put that in you? Because let's just be honest, right? Like everybody from that environment doesn't have that. So where did you find that?
uh, well, for one, I'm like a super super private person, and I told myself when I started watching your videos and your interviews, I said I'm gonna get on one of them videos. I
Oh
told
yeah,
myself
I love it.
because I want to encourage somebody because I wish I could see behind the scenes for a mom. I wish I could have saw that 5 years ago, but I I had worked in like gentlemen's clubs for like 12 years, and I felt like I trapped myself in that type of job, and
Yeah,
I didn't want to do that anymore, but I also didn't want to like make minimum wage.
yeah,
So I wanted to find something that I can help people and use the skills I learned from working in all the bars that I worked in because you learn a lot of people skills.
you learned
And
the game.
yeah, and so I kind of just switched it over to that. And then in the meantime of learning all that, like doing all the real estate, I ended up going to school to be a truck driver too, because that's what my husband was doing. And I said, I needed something that could make a lot of money.
You can
So
make
I'm
money
like,
driving trucks. That's a
yeah,
fact.
I'm like,
Yeah,
I told him, I said, you think I could do that? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, I'm going to do it then. So I went and did that. And then I got pregnant with my youngest. And I honestly, I got fired the day that I found out I was pregnant.
what?
So yeah, because I was sick a lot. So they ended up I missed too many days. So they said you gotta go. And I'm a hard worker. Like if it's a job, if I'm working for myself or working for somebody else, I like to act like I have like stock in the company. Like I wanna like work really
Mm,
hard at what I do. And
that's a gem.
pe- people tell me like, "Ugh, don't work so hard. You make us all look bad." But I'm trying to work hard. I don't know. That's just what I feel like you have to do. And I ended up like the next day I was at another RIA meeting because I just was like, I gotta just go hard because I don't want to go back to this. And I was driving steel coils, so that's kind of scary.
Is that
It's
the truck
dangerous.
that's got those big rolled pieces of steel on the back?
Yeah,
So you were a
it's
truck driver,
heavy.
truck driver.
Yeah, so I felt like if I can do this and if I can work in the bars, I could do this. And I gotta stop just being. I gotta get out of my own way because I was like I had a lot of mindset issues. So finally, I just like something happened, like certain like I had a lot of shifts and it just happened, and I'm like I'm doing this no matter what. Nothing's gonna stop me.
No doubt. I love
Yeah.
that. So you get back into the mix, 5, 6 years ago, right? In 2015. What was that journey like for the past 5 years up until this past November, really? I mean, when you joined Charged Up, like what was that even like? Like what were you going through? What were you trying to figure out? Why do you feel like
Um,
things aren't working at that time? I know you mentioned mindset a couple of times.
yeah, so and when I first found out about it, that was in the summer of 2015, and I kind of just was like not really getting fully into it, but then that spring, um my husband like handed me like $2,000, and he gave me like his tax return or something. He said, "Here, like buy it, like let's get you a laptop, let's get you whatever you need." He would, and it made me feel good that he was wanted to invest in my what I wanted to do, you know. So
Absolutely.
it made me push to want to do it more. So he was giving me money like every week because he that's when he was truck driving. I was just at home with our youngest son, and then it came to a point where I think I had got like a carrot website. I got an LLC. I got business cards. I got everything that they say. Wait,
Right.
did it all backwards. They say like just get the deal first and then work on all that. I did everything totally backwards, and then I got
Yeah.
analysis paralysis. So I got a lead from the website, and I think that I want to say that was in I got my LLC in spring of 2016. So by the summertime, I got a lead and I called it, but he wanted way too much money. But I kept talking to him. So like 7 months later, he ended up calling me back and saying that he was willing to drop it down low. But I ended up learning that I was so excited to get it under contract that it wasn't a deal and nobody wanted it. So I had to like cancel it with them, and that
Yeah.
made me feel real bad. And he didn't mind at all. Like I was upfront with him. I told him what I was doing, and he wasn't mad or anything, but I was really hard on myself about that. So it made me lose a lot of confidence, and I just kind of like didn't even I stayed in like all the Facebook groups and stayed networking all these years, but I kind of just fell back because I was trying to figure out how do I do this without fucking up. So
No, no doubt.
I know you have to.
Yeah. So let me say a couple of things. So first and foremost, man, shout out to your husband, because what you just said without saying it, and you probably didn't realize it even at the time. I'm sure was he believed in you,
Yeah.
and he was willing to put resources behind you, put time and energy behind you, and support you and lift you up, simply because he saw these things in you at that time and believed in you. And sounds like a great guy, man. He wanted to encourage and move you forward and help you get
Yeah.
things done. So salute to him. The other part of what you said that I want to talk about real quick is that defeating feeling of you're trying to get that first deal done. You're literally just doing everything you can to make it happen. I was having this
Mhm.
conversation, ironically, earlier today with a one-on-one student where, you start in 2007, you start, come back into it 2015, finally start to get a little bit of traction, get a deal under contract. And I'm sure you're like myself when I started, everybody really, we're so emotionally attached to the deal. We want it so bad. We're so geeked up. And
Mhm.
the reality of this is real estate. Like things can just go left at any time.
Right.
And so you get into a position where you put your all your effort, your husband supporting you, pouring resources. You finally get a deal under contract, feel like you're turning the corner, and boom, right? You can't sell it. And a lot of people will allow that, and I know you did temporarily, a lot of people allow that to defeat them because we've put so much mental energy into that first deal and getting that deal done. So my
Mhm.
encouragement to everybody watching this is to really hear Alexis' story. This is a really great story already. But when you're in those moments where deals fall apart, things don't go as planned, there's issues in the business, just understand that that's always going to happen. Whether you're
Right.
at highest levels or at the entry level, you know, you're going to run into a lot of the same things. So don't allow the roller coaster of real estate to defeat you mentally, because there's a lot of people that have had that experience. It sounds like Alexis, you've had that experience, and I took me 2 years to do my first deal. I get it, right?
Mhm.
So you're struggling through these things. You have to cancel that contract. You kind of, it was this one of those, hey, I got to delete the Facebook. I need to go figure
No,
things out. Like what was going on when you had to
no,
do
honestly, I ended up at one point, I'm trying to think when, like, because it's been so many years, kind of like all blends together. At one point, I ended up separating my personal Facebook and made it like all real estate. Like, but then like people started asking me to get back onto the real estate one because I wasn't on the personal one anymore. So it kind of like blended back in together again. But no, I didn't do that. I just stayed in the background of like all the groups that I was in,
it?
and I because I was listening to what a lot of people had said in the groups, like they were like looking down on wholesalers, and it was making me feel like maybe I'm doing it wrong. So I was trying to figure out how to do it with integrity
Yeah.
because I'm like real big on like treating people the way I want to be treated. So that's what that happened. I can't believe I let it like get me down that long, you know.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was more of like also like a money thing. I felt like I had to have a certain amount of money to do it. Like cuz when I first started doing that, a lot of people were doing a lot of heavy mailers. So I was like writing out mailers by
Ah,
hand.
yeah. I remember those days, writing them by
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I even was like I would like write the letter and then not put the name in or like certain things and then print them off and Xerox like a bunch of them and
Yeah.
then just fill them in and do it just so it will look a little bit more personable,
Sure.
but without having to do so much you know what I mean? Like try to
Hmm.
mass produce it.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, so
That's
I was
awesome.
doing that. I was doing like all like I remember I like stick with this one buyer. I forgot how he found me, but we kind of like stayed in contact for like 3 years. And he's like, "When are you gonna bring me a deal? Like he can buy all these houses." And I'm like, "I'm trying. I swear I'm trying." So one day he said he wanted this house, and I rode my bike in the middle of January, like 13
Let's
miles, because
go.
my car
And
was
wait, in Detroit.
no, no,
And
no,
oh,
no.
I was gonna
Remember, I
say,
didn't go back to the hood.
all right, all right. I was gonna
So,
say, man, that, you were not playing. You were not.
but
So
I would
middle of
have.
January, I believe you. I know you would have. Middle of January, the buyer's hitting you up like, yo, where are the deals? All right.
Yeah, and he didn't want to knock on the door. He was like, "Well, you go knock on it." And I didn't want to tell him I didn't have a car, so I rode the bike, and no one was there, so it was a dry
So
run.
you go knock on, you ride your bike over there. I love this, man. You ride your bike over there, knock on the door, and nobody's there. But it sounds like, does that reignite that fire for you?
Yeah, it happened. It's weird. It like goes up and down. Like I'll like get in hard for like a few months and then something happens and then I fall back again and you know, have a kid. But like when my son is 6 now, he's 6 and a half. So I remember I'm trying to think of like how old he was when I first started. So he was probably like 1 and a half. And
Hmm.
my husband at one time, he's like, "Look, I can't keep giving you this money to pay for your website if you're not getting no deals or nothing."
I feel him. I feel him.
I was like, okay, okay, I understand. So I ended up he would be away on the road, so I didn't tell him, but because he would probably be mad if I did it. But I used to strap the baby on my back and go and cut the neighbors' lawns.
Oh man, you are a beast, man. You are a beast. You are not playing. This
Yeah,
is this is
so
this is boss momming. This is an example, guys. This is what I call being a boss mom. All right.
oh,
She said that she strapped the kid on one of those little harnesses.
yeah,
Kid
like
on
a
the
for
back.
you baby wear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like
people
kid
used to
on the
think people probably thought like the neighbors probably thought we were like had no money. Like, where's your husband and you have no money and you're like cutting lawns? I'm like, no, I just need extra money.
back. No doubt, no doubt. I love this. I love it. So fast forward a little bit. Again, this is a journey, right? Like we're starting
Yeah.
talking 2007,
Mhm.
then we're talking 2015. You go through the years, and then you come like, how do you come across? I don't know how you come across me. How do I think you said
Okay.
YouTube? How do you
Yeah.
even
So
find me?
the way I
Walk me
found
through it.
you, so 2020 kind of just like was crazy. I had my daughter the 1st of 2020, January 1st, 2020. Then I found out that I had cancer, so then I had to have surgery to get rid of that. So then I
Wow.
felt like, okay, so if I can go through all this stuff, like let's just manifest our whole life the way we want it to be.
Let's go. Let's
So
go.
I had a lot of mindset shifts, So then when this COVID hit, I had a little spaz moment where I was like freaking out about everything. So
We all
then
did.
yeah, so then you like see people on Facebook talking about like millionaires are made during hard times and crises, and I'm like, well, I want to be a millionaire, so let's
Let's
just
go.
figure out what
Yeah.
we need to do. So I ended up honestly, I used my stimulus money to
Hmm.
buy some bandit signs, and we
Okay.
started putting out these. So like I was
Who's
telling
we?
my
You and the husband?
yeah, like that's
Oh.
like the funnest thing to do on the
So
weekend.
how'd you get him after all this time? He's putting all this money in. You get the stimulus check,
Because
and you
I've always talked about it, like even when I'm not doing it. So it's like, and then that makes me feel worse because it's like you're always talking about it, but when are you gonna do about it? So then it's just
mm,
like, I know you can do it, but at some point you gotta like do it and stop
you gotta
saying
make it
you're
happen.
doing it. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, can we, let's put these signs up every weekend. He's like, okay, but he's also an aspiring artist, to do like rapping and stuff like that. So he
Yo,
told me real estate's gonna have to take the back burner when we're doing certain things. And I was like, okay. But I took it like offensive. He's like, no, you're taking it wrong. He's like, I'm not saying like not do it. He's just like saying like we gotta like split the time up and stuff. Cause I wanted like every Friday for this only. And he's like,
every
well,
Friday. Yeah.
if I have to be in the studio, I'm going to the studio. I'm like, okay,
No doubt.
all right,
No
we
doubt.
can
Yeah.
compromise.
I
So
love it.
I was trying to tell him like I have to be super consistent because I'm afraid of myself. Like if I don't stay consistent, I'm afraid that I'll just fall off and not do it again. And I
Feel
don't
it.
want to let myself down or anybody else because it makes me feel um I feel like I get more gray hairs every time I'm not doing what I need to be doing.
Trust me.
I got a
Yeah.
lot of them now.
I know. I know. I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
So all summer long we were putting up signs, right? And then the nice thing about it being like the pandemic, nobody was taking the signs down. So like I bought
Mm.
100 signs and I split them down the middle and I typed them twice, so I got double the amount
Oh,
for the
okay. All right.
price.
So you made two out of one.
Yeah, yeah. So and then on top of that, it being
That's
COVID,
Detroit hustler. You a Detroit hustler for sure.
nobody
That's,
was taking the signs down. Every time we drive around, I was like, look, our sign's still there. Our sign's still there.
I love this. I love it.
then fast forward, like we got a Cadillac that costs a lot of money to fix. So every time something's wrong with it, it's in the shop. They want $1,000. So our car was in the shop for like 3 different times
Alexa,
in the
I gotta
summertime.
stop you real quick. You know what? I gotta tell you something real quick. There's nothing I love more than talking to somebody from Detroit. This rock Cadillac, man. I love it, man. I love it. I love it. You are really from Detroit for real. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
and I got a question for you real quick before you keep going. I can tell in this conversation and some of the things that you're saying, it sounds like you've done like a lot of self work, right? Coming to some understandings, figuring things out inside of yourself. We don't have to get all the way into that, but how did you even? That's something I'm in the middle of right now. A lot of people I know are doing those things as well. Like, how did you even start that journey to mentally get straight, like get your mindset straight? Because you've referenced mindset. I can tell that you've done a lot of inner work. Like, how did you start that process to even start getting the mindset right?
Um, I did a lot. I try to meditate
I
and
love it.
just I do I write a lot. I write. Yeah, I think you have to like forgive people that you feel have hurt you and forgive yourself for things that you think you've done to someone, because even if
Absolutely.
you can't tell them, you have to still forgive yourself. And I don't know, I've done all kinds of like self work where I've like written things out and like burned the paper and let it go and
Yeah, I
like
know
that.
exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that, man, and I hope that touches somebody because it starts with us first. We've got to do the work on ourselves before we can do the work in the world. So,
Yeah.
much respect to you for that. So, all right. So you're going through that process. Um, keep going, right? So, like, how did things kind of start to manifest?
So so when and it's a up and down thing. Like I'm not always like, oh, in this, because like I've always tried to be positive. Like I had like a chalkboard wall. I made chalkboard wall in my kitchen, and it always had like this nice stuff. And my husband's cousin would come over like, you always got this nice stuff like written on there, and I put it on Instagram, and my husband's like, yeah, but she's not always like that in real life.
Hey, that's the part. That's
I'm like,
the part of self
I'm like
work. Part of
okay.
self work.
I'm like, but I want to be, so I
I love
try.
it.
But that I don't want anyone to think like you got to be positive 24/7, because you want to cuss somebody out the next day, and that's okay too. Just get back, trying to be nice again.
You gotta meditate and get rebalanced.
Yeah, yeah. So it's an up and down thing. So I remember we kept putting the signs up, and I kept saying like we just got to be consistent with it and try to stick with one thing for a while, see how it works. And then um August came around, and somebody called, and the car was broke. So I said, I can't even go see this house. So all this past year, on and off, well, the past while I was pregnant, and then a little bit of last year, I was helping my cousin, who's also an investor. I was helping him with cold calling and stuff. So I got some
Mhm.
practice in with that. But I told him about the lead because I couldn't go to it. So I was just
Is this
like,
is this the one from the website or the one from a Bandit Sign?
no, this is from a Bandit Sign. This is
Gotcha.
this past
First deal.
yeah, this is yeah. So I had got this lead in August, and I couldn't do nothing with it. Well, I felt like I couldn't do nothing with it. I probably, not thinking back, I probably could have. So I
Hmm.
just passed the lead to him, and then he ended up paying me when he closed on it. So that was like the first time I made like a real chunk of money,
Yeah,
like for real estate, and it felt so good. I'm like, this is real. Like we could
no
do
doubt,
this.
no doubt. I love it. I love
So
it.
that was another shift I had. That was in
Mhm.
so that I got that money because I sent the lead to him in August, and I want to say by October I think I got the money, or November. And
Nice.
I follow Quentin Flores a lot. So he
Shout out to Q. Yeah,
and I've
no
like
doubt.
networked with him, and I've helped with like gathering stuff, like being boots on the ground for him and his company here. So I was watching a video he had, because I wanted to keep real estate in the front of my mind, at all times. So I
Yeah,
was like just watching stuff all day, every day, going to sleep, listening to it. And I had watched a video he did, an interview with Hot Wholesale Toddy. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah. Yep. Yeah,
So she was talking about how her market wasn't very good at all. And I was starting to feel like that. Like I was feeling like Michigan, like I feel like I couldn't do nothing in Michigan.
yeah.
But I did end up getting the deal in Michigan. But she was saying how she went somewhere else, and she was like, I just got a list and you just call it. It was just so simple. And she was a single mom, and I'm like, if she can do this good in this short amount of time, and I'm over here like 5 years, what the hell is wrong with me? Like I
Man, no
can do
doubt.
this.
And shout
So
out to Q and Toddy. Q, he's doing his thing. You guys, I'm
yeah,
sure
he's
know
a go
Q.
giver for real.
Toddy, former student, she's crushing it now, doing her thing.
Yeah.
Beautiful to see. Shout out to both of them for sure.
So that night, I loved her testimony so much. I followed her. I followed her Facebook. I mean, not her Facebook, her YouTube, and I was watching all her videos that night. And she was talking about. She mentioned your name, and she was saying for like cold calling and stuff like that. So I had joined your Facebook group, and
Gotcha.
then your interviews started coming out, your podcast. So I was watching those. And then I was like, oh, boy, all these people were like getting out all these deals, And I'm like, in such short time. So it was making me feel more confident. And then you had said something like, I didn't get my first deal for 2 years. I was like, well, I didn't get it for 5 years. So I was like, I just felt like something just clicked for me. I just felt like you were the one that was going to help me learn, right? So
Respect.
then fast forward to I think I was watching one of your videos live because you were having lives every week,
Yeah.
and it was about the comping. I was like, it's like blew my mind. A new way to comp. I was like,
There you
maybe
go.
this is the
Yeah.
missing link.
No doubt. No
And
doubt.
then you're talking about I'm gonna give away 48 hours in the U to see it. And I was like, man, if someone tells me I can't do something, I'm like, I'm gonna try to do it. So you're like, you can't, no one can get through this whole thing in 48 hours. I was like, bet I'm about to do this. So I ignored my whole family for
Oh
2 days.
man,
And my house,
listen. If listen, people in the know the videos in the course, man. These are not short videos. These are detailed, thorough
they're
videos,
long.
long videos. Alexis, you're telling me you blazed and got through these videos.
I got through a lot of them. I didn't finish. I started calming down. I was like, let me simmer down a little bit because I actually liked what was in there. So I was like, I'm gonna give this man his money. I like how he's doing this, and like the way your delivery is. I don't know. Like not everyone has, certain people have to click, and I just feel like you're the perfect coach to like guide me to
I
where I need
appreciate that.
where I need to
I
be.
appreciate that.
Because when I'm watching certain videos and it's like the weekly Zoom calls. I wasn't in those ones yet. These were like the recorded ones,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you're someone's asking a question and then you bring them back. Cause I'm like all over the place, and I felt like I just needed someone to like, come on, let's just calm down and go this way. Cause I like I asked a lot of questions because I was kind of losing it a little bit.
Nah, I love it. I love it. So this is. Let me tell you what I remember. Right. So you come in on the Black Friday special, right? I'm doing. A buddy of mine called me the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and he's like, hey man, like, are you gonna do a Black Friday special? And I'm like, no, like for what? And I'm like, dude, listen, honestly, my pricing is already great. I've got it priced like as low as I can price it to try to help people and still get paid a little bit of something for my time, you know? And I'm like, what discount would I try to give somebody? Right? Like it's worth 30 times what I charge. And he's like, well, look, he's like, if it's that good, why don't you let people try it out for 2 days and see if they like it?
Hmm.
And I'm like, damn. I'm like, it is that good. I'm like, fine. Like, yeah, I'll do that. So I do the 48 hour, uh, you know, pay $1, try it out for 48 hours as a Black Friday special. So I remember you joining, and this is what I remember. Right. I remember you joining, and I remember getting all these alerts on my phone. Right. And it's Alexis, Alexis, Alexis. And I remember telling my team, I'm like, man, she's got a lot of questions. And I said either she's gonna go crush it, right? Or she's gonna fade out in a week. This is what I said, shooting it straight. You know, I always shoot it straight, right? So you come on the first weekly call. I think it's like a day or two after that, after you join. You're on the call, you're asking questions again, but then I hear you with your kid. And this is the newborn, I think, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I
In the house, I have my 6-year-old son, and she's one now. The baby's
one.
one.
All right.
My older
So,
two are out of the house.
hey, that's a good feeling, right? So you've got the newborn, and I'm hearing you come off mute to ask questions. The dog is barking. It sounds like a big ass
I
dog, by
have
the
a
way.
neurotic German Shepherd. He
I was
barks
gonna say he
every
sounds
time the
like a
phone
huge
rings. He
dog.
barks.
Yeah, so the dog is going crazy. The baby's like crying. You're like calming the baby and asking a question at the same time.
Hmm.
And I remember telling somebody on my team, I'm like, yo, she's gonna kill it. Like, because if she's working through all of that, most people would have not asked a question and stayed on mute.
Hmm.
It's reality, right? And I said, the fact that she's got all these things going on, she's not embarrassed about coming off mute and noise in the background, because who cares, right? Like, she wants the information that bad. she wants to make it work, and I could see that, and I think I even told you in that first call, if I remember right. I'm like, yo, I'm excited to see what you do, because I don't want I can't gas y'all up too much when y'all first come in. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
I gotta play tough with y'all. All right,
yeah,
so I'm like, yeah, I'm like Alexis, like you sound like you're gonna do something. All right, so you come in, you're rolling through the course information, the video information. So after you joined Charged Up University,
hmm
what in that gave you the shift that you needed? Because shortly after that, like a week after that, if I'm not mistaken, you end up locking up your first contract. So
yeah.
like
So
talk about that. Like how did this even
the all like you have like thorough videos on like how to talk when you're cold calling and how to talk to the sellers and the script and I don't know, like something in there is like it made me feel more comfortable. Like I'm not afraid to talk to people, but for some reason I have like call reluctancy,
Yeah.
and it
Well
takes me a
you
long
and
time.
everybody else. You and everybody else.
It's like I have to do so much to just get on the phone. I'm like, just do it. But then it's like 45 minutes in and then I get in the groove, but then my baby wakes up. So then I'm like, shit, I gotta quit.
No doubt. Yeah, yeah.
So like I remember I made a I think one of my first posts was like, how do you guys do this when you have your kids in the background?
I
Because
remember
that's
this post.
a lot of my part of not wanting to make calls was because I thought it had to be like at one point I had like I was looking up YouTube videos on like the call center background thinking I had to have that type of background or
Mm,
like hiding in the car, but then when my husband's not home there's no car for me to hide in and make calls, so it's like I'm gonna have to do this. So it's like kind of like that's like when you find like the silver lining of like bad things that happen, like the pandemic has kind of helped with being able, like everyone works from home now and everyone understands that, so it's okay. And
yeah.
it's okay to have your kids in the background because like you said, at the end of the day they're just people, and
Yeah.
no if you
So
want to
I
help somebody you got
remember
to call them.
you gotta call him. I remember you making the post. All right. And I think I tried to sick some of the you moms on you. All right. You know the women in the you, they roll really heavy. All right. They roll
Hmm.
really, really heavy. And so I remember seeing it, and I hadn't personally really thought about it.
Hmm.
And but then when I saw your post, like I started thinking, and I'm like I didn't like I'm like, oh, like people are really feeling like that. Like, and so that contributed to a lot of your call reluctance. It's like you said, to the aspect of like, how am I gonna get on here and make calls? Got my kid in the background. I'm trying to help and take care of her. Like, how am I going to talk to sellers and be professional and all these
Hmm.
different things if I've got a kid crying in the background? And I remember the conversation, right? Like we talked about at that time. It's like, yeah, like, look, COVID's going on. We're in a pandemic.
Right.
Everybody's working from home. Hearing a kid in the background isn't some like, oh my God type of thing, you know? But, again, that's that mental hurdle. Like,
Yeah,
that's one of the mental
I thought
hurdles.
it was a bad thing, and then it ended up not being. And like to explain so much of why how it's not a bad thing. I when I was talking to the seller that I got under contract, they need help. They don't care. If they want to, if they need their house gone, they don't care who's in the background. They don't care what you're doing. I was literally holding my baby on my hip like a football, pacing the room while I'm on the phone with them negotiating, and he's like, "Well, ask your partners and call me back, please. Ask your partners, call me back." This is us negotiating the price. So I had to
Yeah.
like hang up with him, and I was actually talking to the buyer who I was planning on getting it to, and that's how I was like helping with my price, and because I knew what he wanted to have it at. So then I would call him back like, well, I can't give you this much, but I can give you this much. And then I ended up locking it up, literally holding my baby, and I was typing. I was trying like I had my laptop, my broken laptop, on the dresser,
Yeah.
nursing my baby upside down, kind of
Yeah.
typing with my right hand, and I'm a left-hander,
Oh man,
so
this is dedication for real.
it was difficult. But it literally, I'm not tech savvy, so it literally took me like 2 hours to get this thing like typed in like in DocuSign and radio because I had no idea how to work DocuSign. And then I
And weren't
finally,
you at the time like posting questions? I think like,
yes,
"Hey, what
all
do I
that.
put here? What do
Yep.
I?" All right, I remember this. I remember this.
Yep. Cause and honestly, I was making dinner when he had called. So I have like a separate phone that the numbers for the bandit signs come in just to
Hmm.
like, screen them. And if they don't say certain things, I won't call them back. And
Hmm.
so this guy left a voicemail. He's like, I want to sell my house. Please call me back.
That's what
He
he said.
didn't. That's what he said.
Man.
I,
So
he's
go
he
ahead.
didn't say anything that I told them to say. Like I was so adamant about not calling people back if they didn't say, because I didn't want it to be like, someone
You on the
like a
phone all the
hired
time.
officer. So I was like, I'm gonna call him back. Like, and it's all like when we're doing like the Zoom calls, the mindset things and stuff like that, and you guys just helped me feel like I could do it. And then I have my husband cheering me on, like he's like, you can do this. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. So literally right after we had all this conversation, and then I get this phone call, and he doesn't say what I told him to say. And I was like, I'm just gonna call him back. So I call him back, and then he's like telling me like he was a tired landlord. He had a tenant in there that wasn't paying, and he just wanted to get rid of the house. And then so when you the way you show us how to do things on PropStream, I looked up, I like reverse engineered or whatever, and
Yeah.
looked up who was buying in the area. And
Hmm.
do you know that the guy that I ended up selling the contract to bought one of his other houses? I knew this because I saw it on PropStream, and I
Oh,
was sitting there
wait.
thinking,
So you go look on PropStream. I love this. All right.
mm-hmm,
So you're just doing what I tell you to do. All right.
yep,
So you go on PropStream. You know how much I love when students do what I tell them to do. All right. So you go on PropStream. This guy's a tired landlord. He owns multiple properties. You're doing the technique I teach, right? You're scanning for your buyers, and you see that one of this guy's other properties has sold to a particular cash buyer.
mm-hmm.
All right. And so you see this, and now what are you doing?
Okay, so as I'm doing this too, I am all like, remember I asked a lot of questions. While I was also asking the end buyer who I thought was going to buy it, because this is the guy I promised him that I was going to give him my
Sure.
first deal, after all these years, and I wanted to be, you know, a man of my word, a woman of my
A
word.
woman of your word, a
So
boss mom of your word. There you
yeah,
go.
so I'm messaging him, and on PropStream, holding my baby, calling this guy back over and over, asking you guys questions. I'm doing all this stuff at once. And
Yeah.
uh so I find this buyer that's on there, and the end buyer that I'm on the phone with too, he actually knows this buyer too. He's like, yeah, he's a real good buyer. And he was like going to give me his number, and I was like, well, it's right here. I like scrolled up, and it shows he's also an agent, so he listed his own house after he bought it. I was like, the number's right there. I'm just going to call him.
That
So
charged up technique. I love it. I love it.
so I wrote the number down, I wrote his name down, and then I still decided like we're still going to like show the house instead of just having him just asking him to buy it.
Hmm.
So um he I showed the house. I think this is like more questions that I was asking you guys like about showing the house and whatnot. And I ended up showing it. I think like five people came, five or six people, and the guy that I originally saw in PropStream that was buying all the houses in there, because that was like a hot little pocket,
Yeah.
and he ended up giving the highest price, so I went with him. and and then like one of the days, because the city that we sold it in, the city that the house is in, they have like their own inspection, like you have to get an inspection before it could sell.
Hmm.
And I had to meet his contractor, the end buyer and the contractor over there at the house, because the tenant like went ghost a little bit, so I had to go knock on the door since I had rapport with them.
Hmm.
And the buyer says, I just bought this guy's house. He has another house like 2 blocks over. I bought his house. I was like, yeah, I knew that. And he's like, he's just asking everyone to buy these houses. Like, I think he was a little scared. I think the owner might have been like a little bit disorganized or just shuffled. Because I even like, for a hot second, I thought like, why doesn't he just ask the guy that bought his house last to buy it? Like, why? What am I here for? And I
Yeah,
was like, you know what? No, I can provide value, and I can put them two together and
absolutely.
make it work. So that's what I did.
I love it. So, and what I like about this so much is that it shows you that you got to always follow up.
Yeah.
It sounds like your end buyer, and shout out to your end buyer if he watches this, man. Shout out to him because he got my girl Alexis paid. All right, but what it sounds like is maybe he wasn't consistently following up with the seller. Maybe he was just waiting for the seller to call him one day, but you just happened to reach that seller. It could have just been that same day he decided to sell. It could have been the day after
Yeah.
that, but it's always in following up and being consistent. So he's got the high bid. You're using the method that I teach with the open house, even though you've already got somebody already really interested. He still ends up being the highest offer. And so you start moving this thing towards closing. How do you know what title company or attorney to go with? Like, how did you start getting this stuff figured out?
Well, for the title company, you give us a list, like there's like a website that shows a list of all the title companies all over. But
Yep.
this one end buyer that I always talk to, he recommended this title company and I had a talk with, like, they give you like an onboarding like little interview, and the
Okay.
guy on there was like super super nice, and he's like said like they're all about investors, and sometimes that's hard to find title companies that are like super investor friendly. So
Oh
I
yeah.
wanted to stick with them, and yeah, it was exciting.
So
It
you
was
start.
also very uncomfortable.
Why was it uncomfortable? Speak on that.
Because it was also like I hadn't gotten that far. I've got to like a contract before, but getting that far, and it literally like the night before the showing, I felt like the first day of school, and I felt sick in my stomach. And but then when I went, it literally was like 5 minutes. I met them all there, and I remember you were saying like show up early, and I wasn't early enough because they were there early, and they
That's
were
why I
all
say
like
you gotta
lined
get
up
there.
waiting. So they all came out, and they all like kind of like staggered in and like just walked through and left. And I was literally there like 5-10 minutes and left. I was like, that was so smooth. And then things started happening where um, the the end buyer was telling me how since since there wasn't a certificate of occupancy for that owner didn't like have any type of inspection for like 5 years,
Mm,
and he was saying it was going to be difficult for him to get the tenant out of there, and it might take him longer than normal. So he
yeah.
was saying like, I'm going to need like a reduction on the price. So I was like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm about to go to the seller and tell him I need a reduction on the price.
Right.
It's literally, I'm not lying, as soon as I hang up with the end buyer, the seller calls me and says, look, he's like, I just saw this house with another buyer, and it's a beautiful house, there's nothing wrong with it, like, and he's gonna give me 10,000 more. And I was like,
Uh,
you signed a contract with someone else too?
I remember you bringing this into the group,
Yeah.
and because I mean, look, I'm excited, right? I see you getting ready to get your first deal, all these things happening, and then you're like, "Hey, this is happening." And this is right. All right, this is what I talked about at the beginning. This is that
Hmm.
real estate roller coaster,
Yes.
right? It's an emotional, like it can beat you up. And
Yeah.
so I remember like first seeing your post, and you're like, "Hey, like this is happening," and I'm like, "Oh my god, like." Why like this, like she needs this to close, like why is this happening? So when that adversity started hitting you and you talk to the seller, he's essentially still trying to shop the deal around, and you guys got a contract, you already got a buyer secured. What are you thinking at that time, and then what do you end up doing?
Well, I was thinking like, how the hell did he, like, why is he signing a contract? And come to find out, he didn't even read the contract that I sent him. He just signed it, and then he
uh,
signed with the other guy too. I said you can't just go around signing contracts everywhere, and so I learned that. next time I'm gonna go through the contract like you tell us, you know. I didn't follow everything to a T, but I learned my lesson. But
That's all right.
yeah,
That's all right.
I should have like went through it with him to get him and maybe I could have got him to sign it even sooner because I think he waited like 24 hours to sign it. And
Mm.
I was like, okay, so I said, I don't think I said we've already like this is as high as we can go. I don't think we could go any higher. And he's like, well, just ask your partners, please ask your partners. And I'm like, okay, so I hang up and then I was honestly to keep it real, I was mad. So
Of course.
I didn't call him back till the next day.
You
I was mad
didn't want to snap
because
on her. You didn't want to go Detroit on them.
yeah, I was mad. So because I'm thinking like this was like a $13,000 spread, and he's talking about the other buyer offered him 10,000 more than I was offering him. So I was like, okay, and he was just so adamant about his house was fine. His house was not. There was a lot of stuff wrong with it, but that's not the point. So when I call him back, I tell him like, okay, we can't come up 10. He's like, well, I like you. I like you. I want to work with you. So like, what can you do for me? And I was like, well, we could come up 6. So I decided like, we'll just meet a little bit, you know. I was like, we could come up 6. So I ended
Yeah.
up making 4 because oh, and I forgot to say, like with the end buyer, since obviously the seller wasn't going to, since I had to come up with price on the seller, I couldn't get him down lower. So I ended up having to come lower too on the end buyer. So that's where I learned like I allowed like the buyer and the seller to kind of like dictate the deal, even though I'm
Mhm.
the one that had the deal.
We
So
talk we talk about that in the group now. We talk about that in the group. We got to control our deals because we have what each side wants. The seller
yeah.
wants the deal sold, and the buyer needs deals to buy.
Yeah.
So you're getting pulled in two different directions. It's your first deal, so let's just be honest, right? Like it's your first deal.
Hmm.
As much as you're learning inside the you, different things, it's still natural to kind of get into that kind of panic
Yeah.
mode, and you're kind of just jumping in a lot of directions. Because I feel like I remember a post. Don't beat me up, but I feel like I remember a post where you came back and you're like, Chris, I wish I would have just did what you said or something like.
Yeah, because I was like I was asking the other buyer a lot of questions too. So if you think I was asking you guys a lot of questions, I was asking him the same amount of questions, and he's like,
Yeah,
I thought you had somebody helping you. And I'm like, I do, but I'm asking them questions too. I'm asking you questions. I'm asking him questions. I was kind of all over the place. Because I was a little bit impatient. So if I wasn't getting an answer fast enough, I'm like, okay, let me ask somebody else. So I'm like,
right.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I'm like still trying to figure it out on my own too, you know. So I, I ended up, I ended up making 4,000 still. So I was happy about
Yeah.
that.
4,000. I
And
could use 4,000 right now.
yeah, and
That's-
I didn't want to like let like the I was telling the other buyer like what I did with the pricing, you know, and he's
Mhm.
like he was cussing. He said, "Fuck that. Like don't let him come up $6,000. What are you doing? You're just giving your money away." I'm like, "It's okay. I just need this deal to close cuz so I
Yeah,
can feel good about it and like, you know, go on to the next one." I was like, "It's
yeah.
okay."
Nah, no doubt.
That was my mindset. I just wanted to be able to like get it done from start to finish, rinse and repeat it just because I really felt like if it didn't go through, I was like I don't want to like
You didn't want it to
fall
take the
again.
wind out of your sails.
Yeah, I didn't want to like lose my confidence all over again.
Yeah, like it wasn't even. It's about the money, right? But at the same time, it's also about proving it to yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
like this isn't just a journey from 2007. This is a journey. This is a life journey, number one. But this is really a
Mhm.
journey since you had a child at 15.
Mhm.
And let's just be brutally honest. At the end of the day, like everybody probably counted you out.
Yeah.
You're not from the best part of town. You got a kid at 15, and so this 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 beast mode inside of you that I've come to learn and see, and that everybody is finding out about tonight, which I love that we're having this conversation. Like that beast mode is a chip on your shoulder. I talk a lot about, sometimes I preach a little bit in the youth to the students, all right, and I talk about that chip on the shoulder that I got.
Mhm.
I got a couple of them. And so you probably got a couple of them too. It sounds like, everything that you've been fighting against since you were young has created this chip on your shoulder, and you've manifested. You've done all the right things. You've done the work. You've bet on yourself. You joined my program. You've done the things that I asked you guys to do for the most part, right? And you move all these things forward. This was just proving it to yourself that you're as tough as that you are.
Yeah.
Your husband believed in you, and it took you time to just get to that point of believing in yourself. And what I'm hearing from you is that closing the deal, like the 4,000 was good,
Hmm.
but it was being able to prove and show to yourself, like, all right, I can come from being a mom at 15. I can come from a bad neighborhood. I
Hmm.
can work as hard as possible. I cannot do a couple of things right in life. I can work in bars and strip joints and all these different things, but
Hmm.
I'm going to push this shit forward and make it happen. And
Right.
so you prove that to yourself and make 4,000. But let's be all the way honest, Alexis. You made 4,000. It's a long journey. I mean, you did this within like 30 days of joining the program.
Yeah. So like I joined like the Black Friday weekend, and I didn't even get into like the group part of the U yet because it took a few days. And that whole weekend I was just like devouring all the videos. I'm like, I'm gonna watch them all. I'm gonna watch them all. And my husband's like, what is going on? I told him up front. I said, look, I am not doing nothing until I get all this, because I told him, I was like, I need to do this. I need to figure out what it is that those other students are doing, because
Yeah,
I don't think I can pay for it anymore. I said, if I don't get a
yeah,
deal, I'm not going to be able to like pay for the next like anything. So I was
yeah.
like, I had like a certain amount of money, and I'm like, I'm just going to do this. And then hopefully I'm going to be honest, my plan was to
Yeah.
like just watch every video in the 48
You get
hours.
out before the 48 hours.
Yeah, and get out and then use what I learned to go just get a deal, and then I was gonna come back and join, just so I wouldn't like just leave you like that.
No doubt.
But
I
then I
get it.
actually liked it. So I was like, I like this. I was like, so I'm just gonna calm down, and I'm gonna just like not try to do so much, because I started feeling bad, because I was like literally ignoring everybody in the house. Like I was in the room, I locked myself in the room, and I was watching everything. And all the dishes were piling up, and then that happened again, like, because then I'm like running around trying to get this deal closed. So it's like it is difficult to try to, because like wholesaling is like a handful of different jobs to do at once, and when it's only you, you're
Yeah.
like trying to juggle it all and
Oh
being
yeah.
a mom. So I told my husband, like, I don't like when the house is messy. He's like, yeah, but you're a businesswoman, so you're getting it done. He's like,
I
that
like your husband, man. I like this guy, man. I like this guy.
yeah, he's very supportive. But do you know, there was one day, so I listened to you, I listened to all the videos, and when we do our Zoom calls, I like everyone in the house can hear. And
Uh-huh.
my son runs around the house saying, slow feet don't eat, slow feet don't eat. Because they
Let's
know
go.
that.
Let's go.
And then my husband's like, so my husband's listening to all this too. So then he sees like this fire burning in me, like he sees I'm like something's changed, and he's like, I'm gonna start cold calling too. And I was like, you will? Because like literally the beginning of it, I had told him, like, because you were talking about time blocking. So I was
Yeah.
telling him, like, I need to set this. I was trying to tell him, like, okay, we got to do this day. I need to call these times. And then he's like, I I don't want to do that. Like, cause I needed him to like watch the kids, like, sit with the
Yeah.
kids while I do it. Like, but those are like his days off and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's saying like, but like, I don't want to he didn't want to like have it be a set schedule. Cause like he needs to
Right.
be flexible with his schedule for what he does. So I was
Yeah.
like, it broke my heart for a minute. I said, man, I was like, no, you know what? I'm doing it no matter what. I'll just do it with them in my hand. I don't care.
No
And
doubt.
and then I guess because I don't know, I didn't say that out loud. I just thought that like, okay, I'm going to do it anyways, no matter what he says. And then like literally a couple days later, he's like, I'll cold call. I was like, you a cold call? And now he's like, he helps me, like we role play, and it's
I love
hilarious
it.
when we role play.
That's
It's funny. So it's like, I think he's like so supportive. Like now he wants to do it more too. So that makes me happy.
Hey, listen, I love it. I love to hear it. I just I think your story is amazing, and I think that I'm so happy that we did this video tonight because people are going to learn from this. People are going to get information. It's going to help and motivate different people who are able to see this. There's a lot of boss moms out there, but there's also a lot of boss moms that are in that different are in those different parts of the journey that you've been in over the years. There's a mom watching this right now who doesn't have that confidence yet, hasn't developed that chip on their shoulder yet. They're still in a lot of the stuff that they're having to deal with. You know, they're trying to be the rock for their household and their family and cook dinner and do all these different things because we don't know how to cook. You know, so you guys keeping everything moving. Putting the battery in your back. I just think it's so dope that you got a husband that obviously loves the shit out of you and believes in you like crazy because I mean, everything I've heard is this guy is just trying to help get you to the next spot because he sees these
Yeah.
beautiful things in you. And it sounds like you guys have been together for a really long time.
Yeah,
Um,
like 10 years.
yeah, so I mean, he knows you're a beast mom. Like he knows you're a boss mom. So this has been super super dope. What I want to do, guys, if you have any questions, drop your questions. Let's get those answered for sure. So definitely, I'll answer your questions if you guys drop your questions. So how did you? What are you on now? Like, what are you doing now? I know you're still in the U. We're still grinding it out. You know how we get down in the U. We're grinding it out, making things happen. Like, what's the plan? Like, you've got the proof of concept finally, all the way from 2007. I mean, you put in the work. All right, you get the proof of concept. Like, where do we go from here? Like, what are we doing? What's going on?
Now it's all mainly just cold calling.
I love
And
it.
I don't want to let go of the signs.
Yeah,
It's fun to put them up.
no, that's look. You and Sarge love the bandit signs. I love it. Listen, it got you your first deal. Bandit signs definitely work, and it keeps you attached to your process, right? Like it's something
Mhm.
that you did that worked. So that definitely don't deviate from that. I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. Let me see what we got. All right, Ashley. Shout out to Ashley, another boss mom in the U. All right. Are you working any virtual markets or are you only working your local market?
Right now, I'm working my local market, but I plan like my 18-year-old son lives like 2 hours west of me, so to me that's virtual. And then my oldest son lives in Virginia, so I plan on like spreading out a little
I
bit,
love it. Hey, listen,
having them both be my boots on the ground.
there you go. Hey, listen, get some deals in Richmond or 757. All right, because I got money that I need to spend. I want to buy some deals. I've been texting every wholesaler in the city today to try to find some stuff to buy. Nobody has anything for me. So if you can find me some deals in Virginia, I'll buy every single one of them if the numbers are good. So you just let me know. All right. Let me see. This is a good one. So I have a 1 year old as well. Alexis, how do you time block your day?
Okay, so usually I try to do as much as I can when she takes naps. She takes 2 naps a day, and I do my cold calling in the evening. Like I'll be honest, I don't cold call as much as I should, but I'm my plan going forward because now I got like all my systems in place because that was a learning curve for me. So when I now I'm going to be doing like cold calling in the afternoon when she takes her naps. And then I use the first nap to kind of like clean and cook and stuff and work
Got
out.
it. So
And then
you
I
so you
decide that
you're
I'm going
really
to work
boss
out.
mom here. Now you're working around a nap schedule, right? So you're I mean
Yeah,
that's a 1 year it's a 1 year old scenario, right? Like
right.
we you got to appreciate those naps. So you're getting the naps in with your child, creating some time and space. Um, I got a question for you too.
Hmm.
So when you're cold calling, you got your kid, how are you balancing? How are you entering that into the conversation to help build rapport? Like, are you bringing that up to sellers? Like, how are you kind of leveraging having that
Well,
background?
sometimes when they're in the background, I'll just say I'm working from home and because sometimes they ask questions like, where's your company? And I'll say, since COVID, I just work from home now because my kids are not in school. So,
I love it. I love it.
and they don't care.
Nah, because if they need the help, right? That's what we're here to do. Shout out to Sarge, your fellow bandit sign enthusiast.
Sarge is
Uh,
awesome.
he really is, man.
He
Like this
is.
guy. Shout out to Sarge, man. This guy is a beast in the U. He's always helping out other students, and just really,
He did
really.
roll calling with me too.
What's that?
He did some cold call role play with me too.
I remember this. I remember this. Look, Sarge is good on the cold call role plays, man. They don't call him a vet for one reason. All right, he's a military guy, but he's also a vet in this game as well. I love it. What are your goals for 2021?
Well, they tell you to like make goals that scare you. So my goal for 2021 is to make $1 million.
Let's go. Now, this is what I'm talking about.
And my second goal to do simultaneously is I want to acquire storage units.
Oh, so this is what I'm talking. This is what I'm talking about, guys. I love this. All right, I love this. I think 1 million is a great number. I think acquiring some storage units is a great goal. I believe. All right, and Alexis, you one of my students. You know, sometimes I can talk my talk. All right, one thing I love and hearing you say, and I believe in is make a goal and go get it. Right, like you've already proved it to yourself that you've gotten to this spot. You've done it. There's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah.
Right.
I have it written on my whiteboard over here.
I love it, man. Slow feet don't eat, man. Look, there's nowhere to go but up. Like, I mean, just think about it. And I'm sure you've reflected on this, but like statistically, where you're from, like this ain't supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not supposed to happen. That's the actual reality of it, right? And you're proving those thoughts and concepts wrong. And I know that you're going to be in a position to help and motivate and inspire other people from same or similar circumstances so that they can do a lot of the things that you are doing in your life right now. I mean, not even just real estate, the self-work, a beautiful relationship with your husband. I mean, these are all amazingly beautiful things. So I'm excited to see you reach your goals and be a little small part of your journey and try to help you get there as best as possible. How many deals have you done since the first one? I mean, you just closed this one.
Yeah.
Literally like
Just
a
this
couple
one
weeks
so
ago.
far. Just this one.
Yeah. So when did that deal close? I think this was
On the 8th, I want to say, January 8th.
January 8th. So you just got this thing closed. I mean, this is crazy, man. You join on Black Friday, you get the deal under contract.
Yeah,
The
I
deal
signed
almost
the contract December 10th.
December 10th. So like a week and a half or a week after getting into the U, the deal starts to literally fall apart though. Like the deal starts to fall apart. The seller's going crazy. He's shopping the deal around. I mean, you got all these different components going on. You're making 13,000. Then you're like, shit, I'm only making 4. 4 is really good money. All right. 4 is really, really good money on a deal. You make 4. I got a question for you. Like, how does it feel when you got that 4,000 in your hand? Because did you get it wired or did you get a check? I feel like
I
I
got it
remember.
wired, and then I divided. I went and opened up more business accounts, and I divided it all up.
I love this.
So
I
I
love
wanted
it.
to do it right from the start.
That's dope. So how did it feel to finally accomplish what you had set out in 2007 to do?
Amazing.
That's
Really,
awesome.
really good. I had messed up our mattress like a year ago. And
Yeah.
I opened it up on accident. I took the cover off and fiberglass got all over the house.
Oh
I had
man.
to clean it all up. So with some of the profit, I bought a new mattress, a new bed. So I sent a picture to my kids like, "Do you see this beautiful bed?" I was like, "This
Yeah.
bed is going to remind me of my first deal that I
Every
ever
night.
did."
Every night. I love this. I love
So
it. So
it's going to stay in my mind
got
at all times.
nah, that's dope. So you get through this process. How did your husband feel, man? He's been backing and supporting you from the jump. Like, I mean, what was that like? Like, how was he? I
He's
mean, he had to be pumped up.
He is. He's like he's like recruiting people. Like he's telling his friends, he's like, let's do this. Like he's trying. I try to tell him like, everybody's not gonna want to do this. It's not for everybody. He's like, yeah, but he's a big networker. Like
Word.
he's all about relationships and what he does. Like he he runs his own business too, but it's for cinematography and shooting music videos and
Word.
rapping and stuff like that. So it's like he knows a lot of people. So and he's like, we can marry this together somehow. And I'm like, yeah, we can. I was like, you just got to know that not everyone's going to want to do it. Like they got to have the certain mindset. And sometimes it takes a minute for that mindset to catch up. So, but
Absolutely.
he's like, it's like the fire's under him now too. That's
That's
exciting.
it. Nah, it's got to be. I mean, he's seeing you. He's invested in you mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and he's seeing all these things come to light
Yeah.
that he knew could happen. That's awesome, man. I love hearing stuff like that. I mean, I definitely think that's dope. I got a question before we wrap up. I mean, what would you tell anybody on the fence about joining Charged Up?
To join it. This is how I feel. Like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I
Mm.
guess maybe I just wasn't ready because I don't know. It's like you just know. And when I was like listening to some of the things, I was like, oh, he's talking to me. Even you weren't talking to me, like you didn't even know me yet. But I'm like, he's talking to me. He's talking to me. And I don't know. Like it's just so helpful. Like it's just I don't know how to explain it. It's like when you have what is it like the sheep's like not the sheep's like like a shepherd or like
Yeah, yeah, I get what
like
you're
you
saying.
just bring it in. It's like for real coach. Like you tell people you keep their head in the game and don't think of no, don't think about that. Come over here. This is what you're gonna do. Here's the game plan. Do XYZ. Go get it done. And then then like the other day when one of the other students was talking about like the issues that they were having, and it's like you bring people off mute, like you know how to point someone out. Like it's like you can tell the people that aren't speaking like something's up. And then she got her first deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like that takes like a certain skill set to do that, to like point somebody out, figure out who's not doing something, bring them out to the front. And I don't know. It's like like you see what's in someone, and then you make it help facilitate for
I
them
love
to see it.
that's love. I really appreciate that sincere more than you will probably ever realize. I appreciate that to the utmost. And what that is, it's like I tell you guys inside the group. I've been doing this for 11 years now. I've experienced every high and I've experienced every low when it comes to this business. And so there's nothing that y'all can do or think that I haven't done or thought of myself. And so, part of that kind of like being a good coach thing is just kind of being able to anticipate. Like I see you guys, going through different situations. And I love how we have that community aspect of the group where we can always talk, we can all
Mhm.
communicate. We call it family business for a reason, right? Like we all can be in touch with each other. We have the group chat where everybody's able to talk. And
Yeah.
what's so dope about it is I'm just feeding y'all from my own life experiences. And it's like I always say, it's just like I've had to go through these things. I've had to experience some rough spots in life and business and different things. Y'all are my tribe. Y'all are my people. I love y'all. So I don't want y'all to have to deal with or go through any of the tough things that I've ever had to experience when it comes to business. And so when I see you guys going in different directions or trying to deal with certain thoughts, I kind of know where you guys are at because at some point or another in the past 11 years, I've been in that very exact same spot. So I appreciate that sincerely. You know how y'all always trying to get me to cry. Don't, Alexis, don't try to do it to me tonight. All right. I'm holding men tonight. All right. But I appreciate you 110%. Let me make sure I didn't miss any questions, which I don't think I have. Um, I'm gonna let you close this out. Before I close this out, what do you have to say to? I guess do we call this YouTube University? Since I post videos on YouTube now, I guess is it? I never thought
Yeah,
about that. So maybe this is YouTube. What do you
I
say to
I
YouTube University?
I want I want everyone to know that's watching this that just please don't give up. Like it's very cliche when they say like if I can do it, you can do it. Everybody says that, but it's really freaking true. And you just have to like get out of your own head and just like see yourself doing it and just do it. Just do it because just it's not gonna be smooth and it's gonna feel very uncomfortable. But like literally that other cliche saying like everything you want is on the other side of your comfort zone is so true. And
Facts.
a seller is gonna it's not none of that's gonna matter because a motivated seller is totally different from an unmotivated seller and it's a very very different of how they act. So they like want to like just give you the house almost. It's like help me, just help me.
I love it,
So it's
man.
like just like believe in yourself and then don't give up. Like do not give up. If this is what you want to do, just keep going. Even if it's like one little thing, no matter my mantra to myself was no matter how much time passes, the time is going to pass regardless, so I'm never going to give up. So just don't give
Mm,
up.
that's a bar. That's a bar right there. All right. I love that. What you're saying is so special because we as humans, we complicate life.
Yeah.
We complicate life. Life is actually just that simple. It's just like it's not supposed to be perfect. There's supposed to be good times, there's supposed to be bad times, but life is truly literally that simple. You just keep going. Adversity hits you, life hits you, things happen. You got to wake up. Anytime I'm dealing with something tough, like dealing with different struggles, business, life, whatever the case might be, literally it's always just like in my head, like, you got that voice you talk to yourself in the head. Hopefully it's not just me. All right. You got that voice in your head, right? And I'm always just like, yo, CJ, like, yo, 10 toes down, like, just keep going. Because it's like you said, you just got to keep moving forward. Life, business rewards consistency.
Mhm.
You've been consistent since 2007. Now, that doesn't mean you worked on real estate every day or whatever the case might be, but subconsciously it was always present in your mind in some shape or form. And
Yes.
you were able to move yourself forward to finally get that first deal done. So, utmost respect to you. Continue to crush it. Continue being a boss mom. Shout out to every single boss mom in the U. Shout out to every boss mom in general. I know a bunch of them. Shout out to every single one of you guys because you guys, I mean, let's just face it, we couldn't do anything without you guys. You guys make these things happen. I mean, you talked about you're feeding your child, you are cooking dinner, you're typing a contract at the same time. I mean, salute, 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 salute to you. Thanks for coming on here and
No
motivating, inspiring
problem.
somebody. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you being a student of you. And let's do some beautiful things this year. I can't wait to see you make $1 million. Um,
Absolutely.
and guess what? Even when you make $1 million, the price is still gonna be the same. All right. So you don't even got to give me that much. You don't even got to give me that much. All right. But look, tell your husband. I haven't talked to met your husband before. Yo, shake his hand for me. All right,
I
shake
will.
it.
He said he likes you already. He's
Nah,
like
that's my guy.
he's like that's who Chris is. Oh, I like him. I
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
him.
Nah, that's my guy. That's my guy. I rock with him, man. I like that guy already. So shake his hand for me, man. Respect. We're gonna get out of here, guys. I don't know when I'm doing another one of these. Maybe Thursday. I'm not sure. If you're one of my students and you want to be on here, you know how to get in touch with me. I'm not hard to get in contact with. And you, all right, Alexis. Anything before we get up out of here?
I just want everybody to know it doesn't have to look perfect.
I love that.
Thank
Doesn't
you.
have to look
Thank you for
perfect. We're
having
gonna
me.
leave it. We're gonna leave it at that. Much love, everybody. Peace.